some people can just, dismiss this and say, well, he's defending himself. Michael, you didn't see the evidence. No, I've been watching this case very, very carefully. I've been listening to both of them. I've been talking to them, talk to people that know them. And in my view, this is a bad allegation, a bad indictment, if we call it that here in Romania. And I hope you listen to what Tristan had to say. And again,
Micheal Franzese and Tristan Tate, two absolute clowns in a room, talking complete and utter garbage into microphones for an hour and a half. As I showed in my reaction to Michael's sit-down with Andrew Tate, Mr. Franzese is now an official PR simp for the Tate brothers. He has shown he'll go to embarrassing lengths to humiliate himself while trying to convince you all that Top G is innocent. He has now publicly claimed multiple times that he has researched the case of the Tate brothers extensively and knows the evidence in this case more than any of us. So throughout this reaction, I will hold him to this. As for Tristan the Talisman Tate, in this video I will show you how this guy is the most embarrassing liar in the history of social media. I think even more embarrassing than Andrew. To any young men who still take Tristan Tate seriously, you need to learn some self-respect. You must have a sick humiliation fetish to tolerate someone telling you such ridiculous lies continuously and to keep coming back for more. I'd love to see all you little tater tots justify the blatant lies that I'm going to show you here. Okay, I don't know why I do this to myself, but let's get into this train wreck.
Well, I'll tell you what happens, and here's where you get victimized. When I was in the street in that life, the normal way of investigating a crime happens, and then they go out and investigate it and try to find the perpetrator and find out what happened here. Mm-hmm. In case of organized crime, and you're going through the same thing, the crime didn't happen. They're targeting you,
yes,
and now they try to figure out what crime you might have done,
yes,
or they try to make something up. And that's what's happening. And unfortunately, it's happening more and more, and I think that both you and Andrew are a victim of that.
Our boy Michael loves this one. Apparently, the Tate brothers' case is not the authorities finding evidence of a crime, but it is them finding these super rich and powerful men to target and just relentlessly trying to find anything to pin on them. This particular piece of diarrhea just gets more ridiculous every time it drips from Michael's dumb mouth. I already covered this point when he dribbled this garbage in his interview of Andrew, and I could literally just copy and paste that response, so I will start. The idea that this case involves the authorities selecting a powerful man and then using surveillance until they can nail him with something is just absurd. The evidence for Decot's investigation date back to 2016, well before the Tate brothers had any real fame. The Tate's compound was initially raided in April 2022, when the US Embassy was notified of a woman from the US being held there. The Tate brothers were then arrested 8 months later, and the rest is history. This sequence of events is common knowledge and easily accessible, both in media, the indictments that Michael claims to have read, and depending on what story the brothers are telling that day, they have at times admitted to this investigation being launched after the police were notified about the American woman.
So this all began with a girl accusing us of kidnapping her, a girl we have the CCTV to prove was never kidnapped. Isn't it interesting that she's accused 7 other men of kidnapping her in her life? The damage to my reputation, to my company, to my life, I've spent time in jail, is basically incalculable because I'm an extremely high net worth individual. Billions, perhaps.
Of course, the story of her falsely accusing 7 men is absolute bullshit, but Andrew has also claimed that the raid in April 2022 was the brothers just getting swatted. So don't expect these clowns to keep their story straight.
Of life. And we never turned to crime even in the early days, which is actually a very interesting point that I'll go in on for a second. So back then I would get offers to commit crimes for money. I'd get offers for go and collect money from these people. Mm-hmm. They owe these dealers money. You're a big kickboxer. Protect us when we go here. Maybe move this package A to package B. And I refused every single offer to commit any crime for money. I'd rather spend my time at the kickboxing gym and keep my head down. So
For Tristan to say he has never committed a crime is pretty creative. Firstly, although they do everything together, it's not clear if Tristan was a drug dealer in the past like Andrew was.
So when I was 24, 25, I sold drugs. Long time ago now. I can be honest and open about my past. I was a fighter, but fighting wasn't paying the bills, sold drugs, whatever. So I'm selling drugs. I didn't really like selling drugs. I didn't like the anxiety. I didn't like the idea of getting caught. I didn't like the violence, the stabbing. I have my stabbing stories already on Twitter. I'll put one of Tate's speech up. Someone tried to stab me.
Another thing about dealing drugs is that it's completely unnecessary in the modern world. I know a lot about dealing drugs. I'm not going to say I previously dealt drugs, but let's just say I know a lot about dealing drugs. And the problem with dealing drugs is as follows. It's not...
Which, of course, he now lies about.
In jail, what did I do? I promoted accounts on the internet.
You made money.
Didn't sell crack. Didn't sell drugs. Didn't rob anyone. Didn't shoot.
So the crazy allegation that once I'm already worth 8 figures, that I begin committing crimes 3 years ago, according to the Romanian authorities, for me is wild. Why would I have made it? And everyone's taken care of. My mother doesn't work anymore, and I have 60 cars and I'm living well. That's when I decide to turn to a life of crime. When I'm already a father and a Christian and I'm 32, it doesn't make any sense. But
No one is suggesting that they have suddenly decided to start committing crimes now that they are rich. Andrew and Tristan Tate got rich with their webcam business.
What you did?
yeah, well, career path. Mine and my brother's big break. I'm not going to go into too many details because I like to keep your podcast nice and clean. Mine and my brother's big break is when we started working in, I guess, let's call it adult entertainment.
Okay.
Well, not personally, but we would set up live broadcast studios where models would talk to dudes on the internet, strip, flirt with them, talk to them, listen to their problems. It's essentially like a strip club, but with a webcam and a model there instead of a pole in the middle and a bunch of dudes sitting around the outside.
Okay.
But it's much more lucrative because in the typical...
The methods for recruiting webcam and OnlyFans models that Andrew and Tristan have described are textbook human trafficking. The earliest allegations of sex trafficking and abuse of women for both the Tates date back to 2012 when they started their webcam business. So Tristan's claims that he has never committed a crime are a bit silly.
The internet. So I ran a completely legal tax payable company, and this gets me in some trouble nowadays, where I had these people, these women, streaming themselves on the internet for the same type of guy who would call the phone sex hotline. Usually just lonely dudes looking to talk to some chick. It made the newspapers last week, and I'll tell you why. Because when digging through all of my past, now they've come up with this thing. They said Tristan Tate, over the course of 5 years, got paid $2.6 million in money from streaming companies running these streaming webcam models. Now, I did that before I was a religious man. It's not a business I promote. I certainly tell young men to stay away from adult content today. That made...
This is a good example of what these guys do. Tell absolutely ridiculous lies that anyone can disprove in 2 seconds. The article that Tristan refers to, which I'll include in the description, is from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Tristan says that this article is bringing up payments from many years ago before he was a religious man, when the payments that the journalist uncovered date up until August 2022, only 4 months before his December arrest. The Tates were running their OnlyFans business all the way up until their arrest in December of that year. But these clowns just have no self-control over their own lies.
Today, that made me some money back then. However, a very important distinction I'd like to make is how many girls who ever worked for my company, my legal tax payable company, of which, by the way, there are probably 3,000 studios here in Romania. It's a popular business out here. How many of those girls are part of my current ongoing criminal proceedings? The answer, you'll be shocked to know, is 0. Because the police have called everyone who ever worked for me who they could ever find and said, look, you were working at Tristan as a webcam model. And they're like, yeah. Did he ever make you do this? No. Did he pay you? Yes. All right, we'll close the book. So they've tried to tie this stupid allegation, and I think that's one.
These are the things I'm talking about when I say if you take this man seriously, you have no respect for yourself. He's really trying to say that none of the women that were involved in his webcam and OnlyFans business are connected to his case in Romania. There are 7 alleged victims in this case who were recruited to work for the Tates on OnlyFans or webcam. Here is a text exchange between Tristan and Luana, discussing one of the women they were trying to groom into OnlyFans, where they say it's good that she's desperate for money and young so they can control her and keep her in love with Tristan.
It's my fault. One of the reasons they chose that as an allegation is because they have videos of me at 25 saying, yeah, I run this company where I have these naked girls streaming on the internet. They've linked two and two together. And in the public eye, the Twitter detectives are like, oh, well, they've basically admitted to it. One, legal tax payable business, huge business here in Romania. Just by your Airbnb, there's a huge studio with probably 400 models streaming right now. Not a crime.
Tristan, you know full well that we don't think that you are basically admitting to it, because when you were 25, you said you run this company where you have these naked girls streaming on the internet. We, the Twitter detectives, say you've basically admitted to it, because you, and especially Andrew, have basically admitted to it. Andrew has bragged many times online about his recruitment methods for his webcam and OnlyFans business, and what he describes fits the definition of human trafficking to a T. There also is the PhD, or Pimping Hose degree, where Andrew sold a course online teaching young men how to traffic women into webcam.
A lot of the evidence in this case is going to come from Andrew Tate himself, and I'd like to read a couple of things that he has said about what he did. Quote,
There's no such thing as having girls who work for you who you've not fucked. It's impossible. You have to fuck them, and they have to love you. It's essential to the business.
You can't get the girl to work for you if you haven't her before. The PhD course is my recruitment system.
I don't mention webcam until after I've had sex with the girl.
And the prosecutors will say that's part of this lover boy method of entrapping women into doing his business.
Okay, I don't know all the statements, public statements of my client, for sure.
A crime.
If my client...
Slightly immoral, I'll completely agree. Running a nightclub can be slightly immoral too. Lots of things I've tried to do can be slightly immoral. But how much connection does it have with my current ongoing legal proceedings? None. Zero. None of the girls they've listed as victims have ever worked for me. That was a completely normal, fine tax
And
payable
that
business.
probably, excuse me, wouldn't be admissible in court, any of that. It has nothing to do with anything.
No, it's not about court because nothing about my company is in the court documents and nothing has ever been shown to a judge. It's all about public perception.
Public perception.
He's lying!
This next segment involves an insane amount of rapid-fire lies. Tristan probably thought, I can safely get away with this. No one could possibly have the time on their hands to debunk every one of these lies. Well, guess what, fuckface? My long-covered ass has literally nothing better to do.
It's all about public perception. They want to drag you down, destroy you, drag your name through the mud. So when they accuse you of kidnapping somebody,
These two absolute buffoons keep saying this to confuse their child audience, that they have been accused of kidnapping. The authorities have not accused any of these clowns of kidnapping, no matter how many times they repeat it.
because one lunatic who was here for 5 days got invited to a party at my house that I wasn't at, by the way, and she made this allegation that opens the door, that she was kept here.
Another lie. She wasn't just invited to a party. She was invited to move to Romania with Tristan, who was grooming her with a false relationship, intending to exploit her on OnlyFans.
Obviously, there are videos on the internet of her leaving to get pizza, her walking around the city by herself.
Lie. The CCTV footage that has become public shows that the women were only allowed to leave the house when accompanied by the Tates, Luana or Georgiana, and the text message exchanges show very clearly that the women were not allowed to leave.
Text messages of hers have been leaked saying, I am going to lie to the police, I will wear sunglasses so I look upset, so it looks like I've been crying.
Lie. Tate's team released the text messages he speaks of before they were made public, chopped up and out of context, but the actual text exchanges show the women talking about using their acting skills to escape from Andrew and Tristan Tate because they were afraid, and believed that they had been trafficked.
It's open and shut, a false allegation. Case closed. However, when one lunatic comes into your house for 1 day of the 5 she spent in this country, when I wasn't even here, and makes this kind of allegation, the internet can run away on this fantasy of, oh, well, he used to run this webcam studio. Do you think that was human trafficking? And it's a way of trying to distort my name, my reputation, and to make me out to be something that I'm not.
What an embarrassing, foolish clown.
Which I'm fine with, because I don't really know who these anonymous Twitter accounts are. Right. And, you know, the fact that they may not like me isn't something that loses me sleep.
Tristan has been bringing this up a lot lately. He really, really wants you to know that he does not care about accounts online that humiliate him on a regular basis by exposing his childish lies.
And the reason I'm going to talk about the online educational platform for one more second is this. Even if you hate me, and even if you cannot stand me, and you hate everything I say, what you can't say is that I'm not an internet marketing genius. There's not a single person with the internet in the world who doesn't know mine and my brother's face. We are amazing internet marketers, and that goes out to the people who hate me, the people who love me. You have to at least give me that. So if one of the 11 campuses inside of my online educational platform teaches internet marketing, then you know it's a good platform, because it's me and my brother teaching what we are arguably some of the best in the world at. So
These internet marketing geniuses blew up on social media because of the affiliate campus in Hustlers University, which now has been rebranded as The Real World. In the affiliate campus of this $50 a month program, these young guys will spend all day producing promotional videos for the Tates and The Real World with affiliate links to recruit new members. This method of genius internet marketing has been described by lawyers as an illegal pyramid scheme.
And look at the amounts here. The amounts here aren't even that much.
The Real World is now hosted on their own platform and his own app now. Since downloading the Real...
Oh, The Real World's on an app. It's on a platform. It's on Google. It's on app. Oh, wait a second. No, it's not. It got pulled from Google and Apple.
Addicted to it. I can work comfortably out of my laptop and travel across the world.
Building your own business is very much like...
All right, we're not going to play any more of that because he doesn't need more advertising of his stupid program. But one of the things they teach you about is multi-level marketing or affiliate marketing. You know what that is? That's a pyramid scheme. You know, if you have a business and the overriding driving force of the business is not the business itself, but it's recruiting people to get into the business, that's a pyramid scheme.
You draw in your audience and then you deliver your real message, right?
Which is be like me.
Be like me. And to be like me, join my real world. Join my Hustlers University, which are pyramid schemes, by the way, by any definition. At least, sorry, I should stress, my opinion, they're pyramid schemes. And actually,
there's been a lot of young guys trying to emulate the Tate's genius internet marketing. I've said this before to them and I'll say it again. Before copying their genius internet marketing methods, I'll wait to see how this works out for Andrew, Tristan, and their minion Justin Waller.
In the world at. So the online educational platform is amazing because internet marketing and client outreach is one of our biggest campuses. And let's be honest, who's better at marketing themselves on the internet than Andrew and I? I mean, we took over the entire internet to the point where, you know, apps had to ban us everywhere, and we're still everywhere. They can't defeat us. And I can't tell you on camera exactly how we do that, but we're like a virus that's infected the internet. And no matter how much they try to delete us, they can't do it. So
the man is an absolute lying machine. The Real World has been decimated. I personally have some inside knowledge of this. I collaborated with the journalist Tim Hume and helped provide evidence for him for a series of articles on The Real World. In his reporting, Tim reached out to a number of companies without evidence that The Real World is a pyramid scheme cult that targets underage children. Apple and Google removed the Real World apps after they had only been active for several months. YouTube did a major purge of promotional content for the Tates and The Real World, including deleting the main The Real World YouTube channel and even Justin Waller's YouTube channel. I've had inside knowledge from people inside the program that the membership numbers have dwindled enormously. They struggle to keep any payment processes, with people joining or making their monthly payments constantly having to resort to paying with crypto, and the online platform itself seems to almost constantly be broken. Tristan's story that they have came out of all of this unscathed is just silly.
Yes. This is the scariest thing that's happened to me. A girl who is 24 years old, who I still know. I saw her last week. She was at a restaurant with me last week. Still know her. She said in the interview, she went there without a lawyer, not knowing what the interview was about. And they said, where did you first meet Tristan? And she goes, at a party. Okay, where was the party? In a hotel reception. Did Tristan invite you? No. Who invited you? Well, my friend's sister was invited by Tristan, and this girl brought us along to the party. And you met Tristan there. Yeah, that's where I first met him. Nothing happened. It was a handshake. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you met Tristan? I was 17. Okay. They released a public statement saying that they're now investigating Tristan Tate for the potential attempted trafficking of a minor. How sick do you have to be? This person is a 24-year-old woman who I still know. The fact that the first time she shook my hand at a public party in a reception hall of a hotel was when she was 17 years of age, they wrote that down in their little statement, and everyone I know is a potential victim, so she's a potential human trafficking victim. Like I drive my car around and throw kids into my car. What the fuck are you talking about? This woman's never worked for me, lived with me, never given me any money. I've never bought her anything. I barely know her. She's a friend and an acquaintance who comes out when I invite people to nightclubs. That's it.
To be clear, Tristan Tate has charges incoming for trafficking a minor into prostitution. To give you an idea of if we should believe Tristan's version of events, according to what she said in an article, the woman at the center of this is currently 20 years old, not 24. As for anyone that might be shocked that Tristan would recruit a minor for his sex trafficking operations, the man has been very publicly and openly a predator of underage girls.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17. I don't hate women. And that's one of the misconceptions about me that annoys me as well, because no woman who I've ever met, and this is the very interesting part, no ex-girlfriend of mine, of which they've interviewed all of them. Mm-hmm. Every single one has talked to the police. No ex-lover of mine. No girl who I used to that I've taken on dates. No girls who I've gone to clubs with. Girls who have been at my house at house parties. Not a single one had anything bad to say about me. So isn't that strange that every woman I know describes me as a gentleman?
Not a single woman has ever had anything bad to say about Tristan, including all the ones that said you raped or trafficked them. You absolute tool. And before you little tater tots say, what victims? The victims are very clearly listed in the court documents. The Tates and their lawyers have seen them. They are lying when they say they have not seen any victims.
Let me ask you, how many charges are actually against you both?
So some charges are against Andrew, and some charges are against me. The charges, I believe, are forming an organized criminal gang. No idea why. I've got an extra charge. The trafficking and exploitation. And I've got one for inciting violence. So essentially telling people to go beat people up and stuff. Not beating them up myself, but telling people to. Mm-hmm. And my inciting violence charge, I'm going to tell you that all the evidence against me, right? A friend of mine, a female friend of mine, told me a story on WhatsApp where she got into an altercation, pushing and pulling kind of altercation with another girl. The event had already happened. And afterwards, because it's WhatsApp, and, you know, I talked to her, I've known her 10 years, like I'll talk to a friend of mine. I went, ha, 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 yeah, real funny, kick her ass. That's it. That's why I am charged with the incitement of violence against others, because an event had already taken place. I laughed about it and said, kick her ass, when these two girls, I heard they were pushing and pulling each other over some nonsense, clothes or something. I don't know what it was.
How did they get the WhatsApp? Because that's supposed to be encrypted.
No, they didn't get the WhatsApps from, in fact, I know what they got and what they didn't, but they pulled this from that girl's phone. Oh. They pulled this from that girl's phone. But
the true part of what Tristan said here is that they pulled the text exchange from the woman's phone. What this means is that if you talk absolute shit, Tristan, we can easily fact check. Tristan instructed Luana and Georgiana to hit one of the victims because they wanted to leave, saying hit her if necessary, don't let her take her things. Tristan said, "Georgiana, you've seen me do this 10 times now. Go do it now, both of you." Georgiana then assaulted the victim, causing injuries that are outlined in the court documents. This resulted in an extra charge for Georgiana and Tristan for instructing her to commit the assault. And Tristan, the absolute clown, just admitted that this text exchange is genuine, and still went on to embarrass himself by saying that it was him jokingly saying to his friend, "Ha ha ha, kick her ass."
Jail. So I remember when I was in prison, everyone was telling me, everyone on the outside was saying, well, I've heard that they can only keep you in preventative detention for 6 months. And I was saying on the phone to my guys, no, I'm with a guy here. He's in my cell, who's been here a year and a half and has not seen a judge. That can't be true. I found out that I could have been in jail without charge for 9 years. Because what the limit is 50% of the maximum sentence of the crimes that you are accused of. So I could have been in jail permanently, even to this day, from my arrest a year and a half ago, for 9 years before they'd have to legally let me out, which is very scary. But
Just more complete and utter garbage. It is very clear the maximum amount of time is 180 days, essentially 6 months. He is just saying he could have been held before trial for 9 years in a desperate attempt for attention. Based on what Tristan has showed us so far, should we take his word for it that he's telling the truth, that he had a guy in his cell that had been there for a year and a half and had not seen a judge? I think not.
Well, the only similarity in my case is that the definition of human trafficking has, and this is in my legal indictment, the prosecutor has said, this guy who's after me, that this is a new form of human trafficking we've never seen before. So in the
Lie. The prosecutor has never said this is a new form of human trafficking. I'll show a clip from the prosecutor himself saying quite the opposite, and a human trafficking expert saying this is textbook human trafficking.
There are various forms of human trafficking. Some crimes related to this form are committed by violence, but also by misleading victims.
So when you say misleading the victims, you're talking about lover boy method, right? Where you're talking about psychologically manipulating these young women into doing what he wants.
I will actually put this to you in a metaphor. The relation between the victim and the trafficker is like an invisible chain.
An invisible chain. Is that hard to prove?
We don't consider it difficult to prove, because what we need to prove are facts.
Sylvia Tobushka is an expert in human trafficking. She's been researching the Loverboy method worldwide for years.
Is Andrew Tate, in your opinion, teaching sex trafficking methods to an audience through these programs?
Actually, for me, all the Loverboy's trafficking methods are present in his PhD program.
Friend or whatever. What they did is they found women who have never lived with me. Some of them are from cities 6 hours away, who have, and this is not a joke, asked me for help promoting their social medias. So I am the biggest social media guy in this entire country. I'm an internet marketing legend almost, the way that we made Andrew as famous as he has. So we're legends in the internet marketing. TikTok had to ban his voice. They had to use AI face scanners to ban his face.
Really?
And he's still on TikTok, so good luck. But essentially, they found conversations of me with women who say, this is a setup, the boys aren't victims. I'm not a victim, the boys aren't criminals. I just asked them for help on social media. They found my conversation saying, post this on TikTok at this time. The best time for engagement on Instagram is this. If you're going live on TikTok and monetizing your account, you need to do it this way. And these women never gave me a single penny. But my prosecutor has made up this definition of human trafficking, saying I'm orchestrating and controlling these women from afar to get them to make money on social media, even though he's never proven they've given me a penny. So they've made up a new definition of what human trafficking is, just for me, so they can charge me with human trafficking, which is a very serious case. Not the theft of TikTok creator funds from my friends' accounts, which would be, what, minor theft? I don't know what crime that would be.
If any fans of the Tate brothers have made it through this whole video and listened to that last section of absolute filthy garbage, and are still willing to take them seriously, follow them, or give them any money, you are absolutely beyond help and have absolutely no respect for yourself whatsoever. These two absolute bumbling idiots are still trying to claim that this case is all about and being accused of taking their friend's TikTok money. Any fan of Andrew or Tristan Tate could fact-check this in 2 minutes and discover that they are absolute lying clowns. These guys are absolute disgusting degenerates. The charges against them are incredibly serious, and the only thing stopping their followers from understanding this is a cult leader-cult member relationship. As for Mafia Man Micheal Franzese, you have disgraced yourself. This is your legacy. You told the world that you knew more about this case than any of us and had researched it extensively. You've made it very clear the authorities need to search your hard drive immediately.